Thank you, Mr. President and members. I'm generally a very practical person. When I vote, I think about the actual effect of the decisions that we make on my neighbors. That's the beginning and the end of the decisions that I make. And I'll be totally candid at this point, looking at this next issue that we're addressing, I'm still considering how I'm going to vote. But I do have one question, if Senator Gazelka will yield.
Senator Gazelka will yield for a question. He will yield. Senator Putnam.
Senator Gazelka, it's my understanding that we have on the table basically $41 million in money that will help children in our districts have access to food. Is the presumption of this decision that we don't need that money?
Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I think about this issue and the $18 billion of extra money that has come from the government with all the different strings, this is one where I think it's time that we take away the emergency powers. Like it's either 15 or 16 because it keeps changing. States are saying it's time to get rid of these. We should not be hanging on to these. So it's the bigger issue that emergency powers allow the government to have broad sweeping powers that we are saying those are over, and it really doesn't matter if there's more strings attached money that come with that.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for that answer, Senator Gazelka. I guess I'm still where I was before I asked the question. And clearly there is some concern of principle that we're talking about, but to me the principle of feeding hungry children is awfully important too. And so in my mind, that access to that money, even if there was $18 billion that have already come here, 40 million more to help feed kids is worth it. And I think is pretty important. And I can't look at the children in my district and say that I made a decision that didn't consider whether or not they could eat. That's a pretty important principle too. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion, Senator Gazelka.
I guarantee you that we are going to feed the starving children in Minnesota, whether there's this resource or not. And I will tell you that we tried to find some agreement to allow the governor to have other powers related to that. We could not get to that agreement, so that is why we're pushing forward and saying it's time for these powers to end so that we're on equal footing with the governor, just like many other states are doing right now, Democrats and Republicans.